Hi. I get a lot of comments on one particular video from people who suspect that they may have DID. A lot of people who wonder if they have a disorder first turn to their own research and the communities around a disorder before bringing it up to a doctor. With mental disorders being so stigmatized, how expensive the diagnostic process is, and the average period in therapy before receiving a diagnosis being so long, I don't blame people for branching out and trying to figure things out themselves before looking for professional help. However, I can't tell you whether you have DID or not. I'm not a psychiatrist, and even if I was, I'm not your psychiatrist. I don't know anything about you except that you watched my video and that you suspect you may be a system. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not something I can tell you. Instead, this video will be dedicated to giving out resources, screening tools, and some other pointers. Of course, these are not a replacement for a professional opinion or diagnosis, but it may help you decide whether those suspicions are worth pursuing. I'd like to stress, if you suspect you have DID and you're able to, you should really talk to a therapist about it. Access to treatment is a privilege not everyone can afford, but if it is accessible to you, please take it. You'll get a lot further a lot faster with help than you will on your own. If you don't have access to a professional though, that's okay too. Not everyone has the option of going to a professional, but that doesn't mean that you don't deserve the resources and community that you need in order to heal and manage your disorders. The easiest place to start, as with all mental issues, is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSMV. The DSMV is a very compact resource that details diagnostic criteria in a variety of different mental illnesses and disorders. The diagnostic criteria for DID has 5 parts. The first 3 are qualifiers, and the last 2 are exemptions. Simply put, the criteria for dissociative identity disorder is: A. There are 2 or more distinct, separate personalities. B. There are gaps in memory that can't be explained by normal forgetting. C. The symptoms must cause distress or impairment. D. Symptoms can't be part of a religion or a widely accepted culture, and can't be better explained in kids by playing pretend or fantasy. E. Symptoms can't be due to drugs or another medical condition. Through the differential diagnosis section, there are a handful of other disorders that are similar in presentation to DID. I won't go into detail with these except for OSDD1, which is having the symptoms of DID, but missing either Criterion A, known in the community as OSDD1A, or Criterion B, which is known as OSDD1B. If you're able to, I highly recommend reading through the DSMV's section on DID. If you suspect you have DID, I heavily advise you to do a bunch of research. This will help you understand DID better and help you with later understanding your system and other systems around you. It's important to have a solid understanding of any disorder before you start exploring it as a possibility. Along with psychiatric research, I would recommend reading about or listening to personal accounts of DID. Knowing what the symptoms are is one thing, but understanding how they present and how they affect those with a disorder is an entirely different one. Concepts such as blending, pseudo-memories, and many others tend to get overlooked in professional papers and research. I've left both research-oriented and community-oriented resources in the description below to get you started. So, let's say you do all that. You've done your research, you know what DID is, how it works, and how it presents, but you're still unsure whether you have DID. I managed to track down some screening tools clinicians use when looking at a DID diagnosis. When clinicians are looking to diagnose someone, they use multiple tests to help them differentiate between disorders. The Dissociative Experiences Scale, or the DES, is a very easy starting place when considering dissociative disorders. The DES is very straightforward and relatively easy to take, and is pretty publicly available. There's one on the Trauma and Dissociation website, linked below, that will score itself for you and provide an interpretation of the score. The next tool I have is the Dissociative Disorders Interview Schedule, or the DDIS. The DDIS asks a total of 130 questions, going through somatic systems, substance abuse, psychiatric history, depressive episodes, and child abuse. It also screens for BPD, schizophrenia, and dissociative disorders outside of DID. The Somatoform Dissociation Questionnaire, or the SDQ, focuses on somatic systems, or physical symptoms that occur without having a physical cause. The SDQ evaluates the severity of dissociation by analyzing somatoform dissociation, which can help distinguish between some dissociative disorders. While the SDQ is free to use, you do need to request access to a free online library. All you need to do is go to the website linked in the description, or on the screen, scroll down to the bottom where it says SDQ20, and click Download the SDQ20 free. From there, enter your email address, and boom, you've got access to the library. The last two tools I was able to track down were the MID and the SCID-D. However, the analysis for the MID is not publicly available, and the SCID-D is behind a paywall. I can't offer them for personal use, but hey, they're out there. I've left a link to the MID in the description, just in case there's anyone out there who might need it. Outside of clinical resources, I'd recommend the Dragonheart Collective's Am I Plural essay. This essay is a decently good starting point for seeing how the symptoms present. It also has some tips on how to deal with the realization that I can personally attest to. It's a good place to start with looking at community-led resources as well. If you suspect you have alters, I highly recommend journaling, leaving sticky notes, or something similar in order to reach out to them. If you begin a conversation, you're far more likely to get a response than you are just waiting for them to reach out to you. If you're looking for a diagnosis, it can also help to have a paper trail of you and your alters communicating with each other. Doubt and worry that you're faking is really common in DID due to the nature of the disorder. DID is ultimately a coping mechanism that operates on hiding and denial. When someone begins to unearth that coping mechanism, your brain does its best to combat it. DID is meant to be hidden, so if you begin to dig into it, you may also find some other things that you weren't supposed to know about. So your brain does what it knows best, ignoring and forgetting. Worry that you're faking, while not necessarily indicative of DID, is a very, very common experience. Faking requires continuous, conscious effort. People who fake disorders know without a shadow of a doubt that they're faking, and they don't feel bad about it. If you're worried that you're faking, congratulations, you're not faking. You may find that you were wrong, or that your symptoms better align with a different disorder, but you aren't faking. Obviously, there's a lot more to this topic than I can feasibly cover in one video. This is by no means comprehensive, and it's not supposed to be. It's just a starting point to help people who might be systems out. Remember, research is the most important thing when considering any disorder. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.